Mike Bosak. Do I say that right, Mike? Whenever
actually
I say
Bosak.
Bosak. I'm sorry. I hate it when somebody gets why would people? It's Keeler. Why would that be Keller? But I hear that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Bill Keller.
That Bill Keller show.
Well, it could be worse.
3 people that listen. It could be worse. You're right.
It was 2 people, Bill.
Two people listening.
As I said earlier this week, they were both listening. So,
Mike Bosak is the vice president of the Landmark Society, and you guys have a fundraiser coming up, right?
Yes, we do. On August 5th, which is a Saturday, from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., we are having a summer soiree Caribbean party.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
It's kind of a neat thing because it's a real summer thing. You don't really hear that kind of a music, the steel drum sound and all that.
Oh, you're going to do that.
Yeah,
nice.
it's a real cool thing. And
nice.
What's really neat about it is that we own the properties number 1 and number 3, Rutger Park. This is number 7. This is actually the newer building, the old Teamsters building.
Oh, okay.
The big glass structure.
Yeah,
and all
I've been
that.
in that. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And
huge,
it's been vacant for a while. And the folks that bought it, Adirino Construction and his brother, did a great job renovating. In fact, in this morning's OD, they had an article saying that the 3rd floor was going to be occupied by Houghton College.
This college that is really
Houghton College.
They are really they've opened up an extension here in Utica, and it's really targeting minorities and immigrants.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting. And again, this building's been vacant for, I don't know,
So that's
20
the
years
building
or
they
so.
were talking about. I thought they were talking about the one up on the Parkway. But so this will be on Rutger.
Yes.
And
yes.
Which is a gorgeous building.
It really
Yeah.
is. You know, originally the Landmark Society, when it was built in 77 or whenever it was, wasn't really that in favor of it. But it's been there 40 years now.
Yeah.
And it is a modern landmark for many reasons.
What do we know about Houghton College, though? Do you know anything about that?
I really don't.
Yeah, I
really
didn't either. I saw that this morning and was kind of wondering, but it's a positive. They can take up to like 26 students, and that, you know, and some of these students that we're talking about have never, no one in their family ever graduated high school, let alone going and getting an associate's degree.
Right, so this is all positive. This is all a great thing for Utica. I see it as part of a Utica renaissance.
And what would you call just officially? I would normally ask this question of my wife. So, what is a soiree anyway? It's a party.
It's
I know
a party,
it's a party,
but it happens after dark or in the evening. Basically.
Okay,
that's why.
Where's
soiree.
the word come from? Is this
It's a French word, I believe.
It's French. That sounds French.
Something different. You know, I used that because I thought that it was something different. Now you hear everyone having a soiree.
Yeah, everybody's
so it's
doing
not that unique anymore. But
it's the in thing all of a sudden. I'm hearing it all over the place.
Did the French have interest in the Caribbeans at one point?
I think they may have.
Yeah, so there you go. There's a perfect tie-in.
Soiree, there you have it.
But that steel drum sound is going to be very cool. It's going to waft over Rutger Park, which is going to be a very interesting thing. But it's $30 a person. Again, it's Saturday, August 5th. From 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. And please get tickets in advance. We're asking that you reserve by July 31st and make checks out to the Landmarks Society and send them to Landmarks Steel Drum Party, care of me, Mike Bosak, at 18 Avery Place, Utica, New York, 13502.
All right, and again, what you guys do, you're the Landmark Society. You look at these old, beautiful buildings that were once a part of prominence, Utica's prominence.
Yes.
And you attempt to save them and
adaptively reuse. I mean, you know, we were started in 1974 because of the threat to the train station, to Union Station. I mean, you can't really even think of Union Station or Utica without Union Station now. Right. So after that, you know, we focused on Rutger Street and all, and many other famous landmarks. We weren't around when the Stanley was threatened, but fortunately that was saved even before the Landmark Society was started.
Yeah.
But there have been many others, including the Swan Fountain, which is being restored. The plumbing at Swan Fountain on Elm and the Parkway is being restored. But that was in really rough shape. The Landmark Society stepped up and helped to have that restored. That was it was cleaned. At least that's a word that they use, but it was done inadvisedly. And actually the fountain was almost lost because of the way they tried to clean it. But there have been others. The Landmark Building, the former HSBC, that was threatened to be demolished for parking and all that. And we called attention to the fact, and now it's fully occupied and on the tax rolls.
Has the Landmark Society officially taken a stance on the hospital?
On the hospital. we don't want to see any historic buildings or potentially historic buildings demolished.
Right.
So our stand is that we want to preserve, if it's going to go downtown, if it's inevitable it's going to go downtown, we want to see as many historic or potentially historic buildings saved and or incorporated into the proposal as possible.
Yeah.
Personally, I have a different opinion of that, but the landmarks, that's the official landmark.
Got it. Okay. And finally, I mean, you if you drive down Rutger, you can see these buildings and that neighborhood that we're talking about that are just beautiful buildings that were mansions and our mansions, and
they were. That's where the rich and famous really. That's where they lived. When Utica was just barely a city.
And this has happened all over the Northeast. Places. When I moved to Providence, that whole area up by the Armory, where there's just enormous, beautiful homes. Now, they had really converted a lot of that into apartments, and it was a decent area, but it was a rough crime area. It kind of happens to cities.
It does happen to cities.
Yeah.
And a lot of cities are making a comeback. I think Utica is really in the forefront, believe it or not. We're in the forefront of a renaissance, because if you look around at what's going on, you look at the Doyle building. Lights on everywhere as they're building the lots and all that.
Yep.
Jeffrey Hardware building, and on and on and on. The Bite, Gerber's. I mean, it just goes on and on. It's great. This is very, very exciting.
I do wish we could have saved what was the newspaper? It was a Saturday Globe newspaper building. That was a beautiful building.
It was a beautiful building with tremendous history.
Badly.
I mean, it had tremendous history not only as the Saturday Globe, the first newspaper in the country, if not the world.
It's a national newspaper out of Utica.
that had color back in the 1860s, right? It was read by the Queen of England, for crying out loud. I mean, that's how much history it had. And then, after that folded in, I think, the 1920s, it became the premier fishing tackle manufacturer in the entire Northeast. So, unbelievable. But unfortunately, it was a big building, and they're very difficult to save.
And I think that building could have survived it to today. We might have saved it.
Sure.
The different attitude today.
Oh, man, absolutely. I agree with you.
Is there any truth that the Saturday Globe ultimately became USA Today?
I'm not sure of that.
I guess other than that, maybe the only comparison is USA Today was in color, and USA Today was a national. There
newspaper. May have been. I don't know that connection, Bill.
Yeah.
Can I ask you on? We just asked you about the downtown hospital. Is there? This is your business or the Landmark Society. Is there? How do I want to say this? A lot of people looking to preserving and restoring historic buildings. Got to be a very costly project. Is there a market? Is there a lot of people interested in doing that? When you're targeting a building for purchase or rehab, are you outbidding private people who are just looking to pour money into these old buildings?
We don't buy them per se. I mean, back in 2008, we purchased number 1 and number 3 Rucker Park only because they were extremely endangered and no one was stepping up to the plate to buy them. And this is the first time we took a quantum leap, because we never purchased property before that. We were basically advocating and educating. So this was basically a situation where we put our money where our mouth is. And it's been a struggle, obviously. We're a not-for-profit. We're a very small organization. So we're depending on any kind of funding and donations that we can get to try to restore these. And it's a slow, painful process. Now, I understand that, yes, it can be very expensive to maintain a historic structure, but it's part of that integrity. I mean, the city has a code, basically, that talks about the scenic and historic district. That's nothing that we do. This is a city ordinance. It's part of the code's zoning ordinance. Yeah. And it outlines what you're supposed to do and not do, basically. If you have a historic building, you don't put vinyl windows in it. You don't put in some kind of weird colors or strange awnings and all that, because it maintains, obviously people grouse at that because it's my property, but you're in a scenic and historic district, one that is recognized. So therefore you follow the rules. It's not that much more expensive to do things perhaps correctly than to just go halfway.
Mark Mojave's done an incredible job at because he'll tell you, you sit down for a drink or
he'll
for a
tell
sandwich,
you, I know.
he's going to tell you that he'll point out.
Mark and I are good friends. So.
He points it all out and he shows you this was preserved, this came from here, and he's taken I think that seems to be a big joy in his life to have accomplished.
It is, and that's exactly what we're talking about, because we had walking tours down there before Mark bought it, and it looked like a time capsule. It looked like somebody walked away from Gerber's, turned the key, and walked away, and it's like a time capsule, preserved all that. And Mark did a marvelous job. absolutely terrific job to restore that and lovingly restored everything.
Yeah.
He's got the apartments going on upstairs. It's great. He's got a bigger project coming up across the street from him. So we're all excited about this.
And for the record, he is for the downtown hospital.
I know.
He's right there, and he's all in on it.
I think Mark believes that some of the people that work at the hospital could potentially locate to his apartments and lofts and all that. And I respect his opinion for it. But personally, I think that the hospital isn't exactly an economic driver. If you look at some of the cases out there, it's just not. You look some of the examples they give just are not the case.
Right.
So I think it needs more consideration. I think that perhaps the New Hartford site is a better site for a lot of reasons.
Right.
You're seeing an awful lot of development in that area right now, where they're talking about the footprint of the hospital, including the U District, including what's going on with the auditorium. So, is that really a good location for a hospital that's going to need expansion in 5, 10, 15, 20 years?
Yeah. Going to be interesting to see what comes of all of this.
Yes.
We appreciate it. All right. Good deal, Mike. Thank you so much. Again,
Thank you, Bill.
the soiree is coming up. You've got to get your reservations in by July 31st. Details 315-254-1080 or 732-7376.
Thank you, Bill.
Good stuff. Thanks. We'll break.